Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, where the wind comes screaming down the plains.
You're not going to do the rest?
No, I don't know. I don't need that. I don't have the rest.
What?
What? Actually, I gotta live with you. We gotta redo that because I skipped states.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Maybe I should redo. I missed a line. I realize now I never said Colorado. I think I missed the line with Colorado.
I think you did, actually.
I skipped a line.
I feel like I remember excited. Colorado.
Yeah, I don't. Wait. Oh, you think I did say Colorado?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said Colorado.
Oh God, I can't wait to listen to this one back. Okay, listeners, if you listen to this one back and I missed the line with Colorado, just fucking flame me. I was too excited. I had a vision for what I was gonna do tonight, and it just happened. You know, speaking of vision, welcome everybody to Panda View's first ever content producing seminar. That's right. We're giving you an exclusive behind the scenes look at some of the techniques and tricks we here at Panda Sightings employ to keep the listeners rolling in. First order of business, a lesson in the rule of three. This will be illustrated with tonight's movie recommendation, Oklahoma. The rule of three refers to the idea that a trio of entities, such as characters or maybe even musicals, is more effective or satisfying when presented in triplet. So, with this in mind, we've subjected Christian to a third musical in a row with the hopes that enacting the rule of three will yield the best chance of finally converting him to the dark side. We've iterated on so many methods to get to this point, and honestly, I'm just so tired. I don't know if I could take much more personally. He's more resilient than we gave him credit for. Enough about that, though. Let's talk about the film itself. Oklahoma is a 1955 musical film based on the 1943 stage musical of the same name, which in turn is based on the 1931 play Green Grow The Lilacs, set in, you guessed it, rural Oklahoma. The story follows a man named Curly as he attempts to court the woman of his dreams, Lori. However, she's a bit hesitant and likes playing hard to get, so she instead has her farmhand, Judd, take her, which is a situation Judd has been waiting for, as he too is fond of Lori. This of course leads to repeated conflict between the two men and serves as the basis for the movie's plot going forward. Filled with tunes to tap your toes to, a 15-minute dream sequence, and the greatest Ant character to grace the movie screen, minus Ant, and what's her name from fucking the one with the ruby slippers chick, by the way, Wizard of Oz. Thank you. Since Marissa Tomei's version of Aunt May. Oh, wait a minute. I should probably reread that line because it was already in there before I chimed in.
Well, I mean, not the same Aunt you're referencing, but sure.
Marissa Tomei's. Oh, oh yeah. Miss Marissa Tomei's version of Aunt May, as in the Spider-Man Aunt May.
Correct.
Guy. Oklahoma is an experience you won't soon forget. Christian.
Hi, buddy.
Christian, how'd the rule of three work out tonight, buddy?
Oh, you want to dive right into that?
Actually, I don't. Because, maybe we should start with me. Well, it all started when I was born, my friend.
Boy, this ought to be good. This movie started about 2 years before you were born.
Did you say? 2 me's before I was born? No, you would be correct. I was a wee lad when I first discovered that I liked musicals. And by wee lad, I mean, similarly to what I mentioned when we talked about the last one we watched, Legally Blonde musical, roughly like mid to late high school was when I knew I liked musicals.
Not very wee of a lad, but
when
sure.
I was a wee lad, I learned
Back in
that
my
I
day.
liked musicals. It took me a while to like really explore the backlog of all this stuff. I now like you know how like you and Justin used to say back in the day that you didn't really recognize things like Bleach or Dragon Ball Z as anime. I mean, I feel like I said I feel the same way about Dragon Ball Z, but like to a point, I did recognize that the style of cartoon that I was watching, whether or not I knew it came from Japan, was this unique like thing that is a byproduct of its own, like, I guess like medium or whatever. That was me with musicals for a while. I didn't realize things were secretly musicals that I had already watched and enjoyed, such as Sound of Music, such as Oklahoma, such as, I mean, to be perfectly honest, there's like another like animated one that I watched as a child. Oh, Mary Poppins. And it never really clicked with me that was even a musical. But all these things are, in fact, musicals, and I've seen all of these things in my youth. It wasn't until I was north of high school that I really watched Oklahoma for the first time with my musical brain and realized what an absolute classic this shit is. I really, really like this show, but it is a product of its time. And to say that it is a product of its time is probably still an understatement.
It's a massive understatement still. But go on.
I find Oklahoma, if you are somebody that likes, music, sorry, you don't even need to like those things. If you are somebody that likes musicals and you like modern musicals, I do think there's a lot to gain in terms of appreciation for the classics, like Sound of Music, like Music Man, like Guys and Dolls, like Oklahoma, all of these super old shows. Like there are just, it's hard to describe the amount of like passion and history that goes into the culture of musical writing over the generations. Like you can see, like when Stephen Sondheim was making West Side Story back in the day, you can see like a lot of the bits that he took as inspiration from something like Oklahoma or Music Man, and basically cutting out some of the fat and putting in nothing but the best parts of the story so that you can get in and out with a much easier and quick to digest plot line. Because I will be honest, this show is to this day a very lengthy plot for what is really in here. It is very lengthy for what we get. I am not blind to that. All that being said, I am very aware of this soundtrack, and I am very aware of this film in particular. I have not watched it in excess by any means. I have seen it probably 5 times my entire life, which is probably way more than than a large majority of human beings, to be perfectly fair.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, or at least living human beings, because this movie came out in literally 1955. I enjoy my time with this when I can turn my brain off and pay more attention to the comedy that we are presented with, because some of the dialogue in this is just so fucking funny to me. And some of the gags that they have in this are like so clearly 1950s pilled that you just can't help but be like, that's a little adorable. Like when they're not like creepy about it, there's a lot of like very classic things happening in here that you can come to respect. And I will stand by that. So all that being said, this is a very flawed film. I would not usually recommend this to any new musical theater person on average. I am well aware of its buy-in. You kind of need to like certain things or want to like certain things for a lot of this show to click. And even then, it's gonna get a little drawn out. It's a little drawn out. So, Christian, now that I've taken the floor for all of that, what do you got to say? You're not gonna fucking pick it apart or completely dismantle it, are you?
No, that doesn't sound like something I do.
No, that doesn't sound like you.
That's not my MO. I will I will refresh the audience's memory and just reinforce the idea that with especially these things like musicals, I like to go in with my brain open to new experience and welcome the potential change of opinion that may occur from seeing this and living through it in order to provide both myself a bit of fulfillment and also make sure that I am coming into this recording to the best of my abilities with as many pertinent opinions as possible.
Careful, everyone. He's a hero.
I am truly a visionary. Brendan.
So, okay.
Brendan, this show sucked. This was bad. I buy-in. The buy-in is higher than the Hamilton tickets. It's more expensive. This show
lost him, folks.
This show was so far out of I am so not the intended audience for this show. I might as well be a fucking alien on Earth. I might as well come from a different galaxy.
Oh no, we lost him, ladies and gentlemen.
Oklahoma had next to no redeemable qualities for me. I am so sorry. Bryn, you're listening to this because this is your recommendation this month. And coincidentally, we're going back to back with your recommendations. And this hurt my soul. The rule of 3 did not work here.
Oh no, that's so disappointing. I mean, honestly, Christian, I gotta tell you, you don't even have to ask me. I am not surprised. I am not surprised in the slightest. I knew if anything was going to really not be your cup of tea, when we came out of Legally Blonde the musical, and even that, which was supposed to be like fun, happy-go-lucky with like decent tracks, easy in, easy out, turn your brain off, I knew that if you didn't like that, this was gonna be a tough sell.
I cannot. This is exactly the standard musical that I think of when I go, I hate musicals.
Yeah,
this is quintessential thing that I do not want to musical that I do not want to watch.
Yeah, so let's just be very clear here. This is, I mean, not only is this the quintessential musical that I think most people think of when they think of musicals they would not pay money to see. This being that poster child, it's really like this. It's Music Man. It's all the classics. It's all the like pre-1970, like everyone with like fucking enhanced and weird campy expressions and outrageous fucking plot elements. A boy loves girl, but then conflict between boy and girl. They end up together at the end anyway. There's really no true villain in the show at all. Like this is kind of the problem, in my opinion, with a lot of older musicals. So this is what Legally Blonde suffered from. I think Legally Blonde was a fun show with incredible choreography, but it didn't do a whole lot to break the mold or the medium other than just being modern. Whereas Oklahoma, it also doesn't break the mold. In fact, it really more so, it was there at its conception. Don't speak the old text to me. It was there when they were written.
Son of a bitch.
I know. I found a way to bring that one back. Oklahoma is like the poster child for like what a average show plot line and I guess product looks like for a musical, and I think that's what the modern audience is afraid of. So if you don't like that, I understand where you're coming from, where you would have a lot of complaints with the amount of time that you spent watching this film.
Oh yeah, fucking tell me about it. You remember back when I complained about Hamilton's runtime? And
okay, go ahead. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, this is not as long as Hamilton, but it's pretty fucking close. Oklahoma is a 2 hour and 20-minute runtime, and the place that I watched it on. So you know, when you see a timer like that on any movie that you ever watch, you go, oh, okay, so it says 220. Maybe you chop off 5 or 6 minutes because credits or whatnot. That's fine. So I save myself 5 or 6 minutes of potential pain, and it's a 2 hour and 15-minute flick. Whatever. Okay.
Sure.
Where I watched it, I don't know if there were credits for this movie or not. The movie runs up all the way to that 2 hour, 20-minute runtime. I did not get that extra 5 minutes of my life that I thought I would save on. So it was a pure 2 hour and 20-minute experience. And boy, did I not have a good time. I mean, again, like I was trying to compare it to Hamilton, I looked at the runtime and immediately put a big X across my page and was like, all right, well, this is fucked. You know, I at least with Legally Blonde, when we were watching it and it was this made for TV movie thing, you got these weird intermissions that MTV inserted with the cast and such. So a 2 hour and 15-ish minutes turned into like only a little over 2 hours. So like that was great. This not great.
Yeah. You know, Christian, I do apologize, because I feel like I also didn't forewarn you. So it has been a minute since the last time I've seen this movie. In fact, the last time I watched this, I was probably like in early college, because, you know, I chose to watch this sort of shit on my own accord when I was in college once upon a time. And I forgot that this was a hard 2 hour and 20-minute long film. And in fact, remember, like when we were talking about this during Hamilton, you know, you asking like, I don't think that this is like an unaverage length for a musical or whatever. I still think that Hamilton and this on average are on the longer end of what you can expect out of a show or whatever. I just completely forgot that this was that long. I think I underestimated the not musical parts, because there's really not that much music in this show. It's only like, I don't know, like an hour of like musical numbers. Like the dream sequence is like one long musical number. I guess.
I guess if you're counting the pure ballet and tap dance sequences as like not quote unquote musical, then sure, there's only like an hour of like actual singing maybe. But if you're counting the dancing, then it's 85% of this. Like there's not much dialogue. I still think
that's a little extra. I think maybe like an hour 40 with all of the dance numbers thrown in, like in tandem with like the musical aspect. There were some long like dialogue scenes in this film that I completely forgot about. In fact, to be perfectly honest, maybe even like young me was like, dude, I don't care about dialogue. Just get back to the parts that they sing. Just take me back to the singing parts. Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to be honest. Like, there were a couple of scenes I don't even remember happening.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, they rang a bell, but like they weren't as fresh as like the musical numbers. Let's say like the musical numbers, I was like, oh yeah, now we're back to the shit.
You know, coincidentally, I almost share the same opinion as you.
Oh, like you don't remember any of the. You can only remember the musical numbers. You see?
No, that the musical numbers were the better part, and the dialogue sucked.
Yeah,
the dialogue is awful, man.
The dialogue is dated, to say the least,
and just like flavorless. Like there's no depth to anything.
What are you talking? Okay, hold on. Now you're starting to spit some nonsense. All right, so I have brought here with me. You know, we don't have a quotes portion of our show on this episode usually, but I feel like what this product does the best at is being a product of its time when it's tasteful. So I have brought here with me a long list, and by long I mean like 7
okay
quotes that came from this show, where, and I'm going to describe what happens when at the very beginning of the movie, we get fucking Curly, who's the main protagonist guy, and Lori, that's her name? Yeah.
Sure.
Laurie. Sorry, whatever. The main protagonist guy comes in and goes like, didn't you hear me like coming in? And then Laurie responds with, I heard a crying bullfrog nearby. Fucking flame his ass. Fucking spit on him, dude. I'm just saying. That shit's fire. And then when at some point, when Aunt Eller or Aunt Ellie or whatever her name is, was trying to talk Curly into chasing after Lori, and Lori was like, giving him the cold shoulder. He's like, well, wouldn't that just make a feller bald? Because he's talking about pulling his fucking hair out over having to deal with this girl. I find dumb lines like that to be fantastic.
That's not depth. These are just quips. Like these are just funny quips.
That's all
I said depth. Like I want these characters to be anything but flat 1D versions of like stereotypical what these people were like in this day and age. Like nobody evolves, nobody learns over the course of the show. Nobody grows as a person. Everyone is just one facet. Curly's a pretty boy and likes Lori. Lori plays hard to get. Judd is angry looking farmhand guy.
Yes.
Ado Annie gets around, to put it nicely. Will is like kind of acceptable as like someone who kind of learns, because he
does he
not really, but like he's like the best argument for it, I guess, because he has this whole subplot of like juggling this $50 thing, and like he bought the present, he had it, then he bought the presents, and then he tries to get it back, and he gets, his dad, her dad fucks him on a technicality because he doesn't actually have $50. She has $50 worth of gifts, so he doesn't care. That's like the most like potential evolution. The only good character in this show is Aunt Eller.
Okay. That's fair.
Aunt Eller is the most entertaining part of this, and honestly, the only worthwhile feature of it, because Aunt Eller's just one of the bros, honestly. Like she's got a foot in each door. Like she can chill with all the dudes, like when they're at the train station and they're looking at the kaleidoscope thing that's got the hot woman in it, and she goes, hold on, give me that thing. What are you boys looking at? Oh, what do we got here? That's great. That's hilarious. I love that.
You see? Now we got him. Oh, but it was only Aunt Eller, so that's why you're like,
it's just Aunt Eller. And everything else surrounding her is like worthless to me. But Aunt Eller, whenever she graced my screen, was great.
There was one bit at the end when they're singing one of their songs and they get into like a brawl at the dance or whatever.
Oh, this is the best scene. It's the best scene in the whole show.
She takes a gun and deadass like holds a dude up at gunpoint and goes like, the next singing line out of your fucking mouth better be something happy.
She takes the gun. I don't even know where she got it from anymore. I just know she fires the gun to get everyone's attention, and she goes around, she fucking waving it like with a crazy look in her eye, and she goes up to Ado Annie's dad, who we learn is like a judge or something at the end, and she points it at him and it's like resting right underneath his chin. She starts singing the lines, and she's like, farmers and cowmen ought to get along. And he's like muttering it really slowly because he's actually scared for his life. That was the best part. And she's like waving, and she's like, yeah, that's it. And she turns to the next guy and she's like, cowboys and farm hands ought to get along. And then everyone starts singing up again. And then she hands off the gun finally. That one got a rise out of me. I laughed at that. That was awesome.
I would say also Ado Annie's dad was also a really funny character. The one line that stands out to me is when he's first introduced, and for what like Alfie, who's another hilarious character. I like that guy. That guy's
Hakeem?
fucking hilarious.
I think
Hakeem,
I think it was just Ali.
Yeah.
No F.
Okay, my fault. Ali. I'm sorry.
Hakeem or Hakim.
Gotcha. So Ali is a fantastic character. Well, he's not like a good person, but he's got a great gag. And when he's with Ado Annie as like her lover or whatever, and then he's like trying to get out, her dad gets introduced at this point with a shotgun out of the field, as like, as you do with like your standard random ass father on a farm, like, man, what you doing with my daughter? And he dead ass goes like, hey, I got you some money. Put this shit in your corset so that no one can get at it. And then he like looks at her and he's like, or can he get it?
Well, I think he's referring to the $50 Will allegedly has.
No,
I know for a fact that this is what it is, because she's telling him that Will came back with $50, and he's like, oh, well, you better make sure you get it quick, because otherwise he's gonna go spend it on something, put it in your corset or your dress, where he can't get at it. And then he goes, or can he? It's Will's $50.
Okay. Well, either way, what I'm saying is, like, his point was put it somewhere where he knows that Will's never going to come near it, and then he goes like, or can he get in your courses? I'm like, shit, dude. He's got your number.
He's
dude.
like acknowledging that he knows Annie is just sleeping with dudes left and right.
And then fucking Ollie, who's literally telling him like, I am a scoundrel, I'm a peddler, whatever. Like I am a good for nothing. He's like, you're a peddler, you say? You trying to take my daughter?
So what you're saying is you have money.
Like, bruh. Obviously, is that like bad if that, and like in a real world scenario, is that fucked? Obviously, because he's essentially pimping his daughter to this guy.
Welcome to the 50s.
Welcome to the 50s. However, like as a rolling gag where he's clearly like dead set on, income and money. And now he's turning his eye to the idea that, he's got money like right next to him. He's like, yo, you taking my daughter with you? And then he's like, literally, Ollie's like, no, I don't want your daughter. He's like, you gonna love my daughter, right? And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna love your daughter, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think he also tries to catch him with like a lying line or something. Like you call him, I don't remember what Ali said at all, but the dad responds with like, you call my daughter a liar, and then he has to backpedal even farther.
Yeah. I think in terms of music, I liked the main cast the most, and the dream sequence is classic. I'm a huge fan of the dream sequence, at least for the dancing number or whatever. And then when it came to like dialogue, I really didn't care if it didn't have either the aunt, the dad, or Allie in it, if I'm gonna be honest.
Same. That's about where I'm at also.
Yeah, I mean I care, but I don't care.
No, I just don't care. My brain is somewhere else if those three characters are not on my screen.
Well, you hate to see it. But yeah, I mean, Christian, I think it is. I'm honestly glad that you got to experience, because, okay, let me ask you another question. Have you ever experienced anything quite like this sort of a musical? Well, I guess you've done Sound of Music.
I've seen Sound of Music, yeah. I've seen
done
Mary Poppins, as you also mentioned earlier. I've seen those. Sure.
And you've seen, surely you've seen Wizard of Oz.
Correct.
Okay, so out of all four of those, which I know you at least have like a gauge on, therefore, what makes, do any of those succeed while this fails? For question number one. I
like Wizard of Oz. I can sit through a showing of Wizard of Oz and not hate myself.
Okay.
Maybe that sounds a little too disingenuous about it. I do like the Wizard of Oz. Do I think it's like an astounding movie? No, but it actually has. So the difference between this show and the three and the other three is that the other ones have good plot to back it up. The other three have the characters actually do things and learn things and become better versions of themselves potentially by the end of the film. So there's a very distinct difference between those three and something like Oklahoma, where it's just it's about as cookie cutter as it gets in terms of a love story or a love triangle, even if you want to even try and call it that. Like, she wasn't going to end up with Curly at the end of the show. If anyone ever thought she was going to end up with Judd at any point, they've got to reevaluate or something. Because
I will say, in terms of like your like antagonist writing, Judd takes a huge L in this film.
Oh, like, so much so.
Like they pretty much bring him in to immediately make him a villain, and they don't even do like the bait and switch where like they introduce him as like this hulking like creep, and then like maybe later they like really humanize him and like, make the audience feel kind of bad for him. Pretty much from the moment he's introduced to the moment he's written out of the show, he was just there to be a bad guy without having done a single bad thing.
Yeah. And not only that, but they actively degrade his character over the course of the show, which like, it's like it depends on how you want to write your villain, but like villains, it'll happen that way. But the show will actively try and get you, the watcher, to look at Judd, who says like, I don't want to have this stigma about me. Like people look at me and they think I'm dirt, like I'm worthless. And then all he does throughout the entire movie is become a worse and worse person. Like it just starts with Laurie asks him to bring her to the box social because she gets embarrassed when Curly asks, or whatever the motivation is there. And the first thing we get after that is Judd looking in on her while she's changing. So it's already off to a bad start. And then from there, it just continues rolling downhill at a faster and faster pace because they just wanted him to be the clear-cut bad guy for some reason. Like there was never any nuance to it other than he's just going to be trying. He's just going to try and be very forceful about his approach to getting Laurie to go out with him because that's all he knows is like brute force. He's a farmhand guy. He big muscle head. He gonna muscle his way through a relationship or whatever. And it's just not compelling.
I find when you write a villain, you need to do either one of two things. Make him clearly so villainous that the audience doesn't need a reason to dislike him, or go the route of like a Fall from Grace, where through the plots and actions of the show, you see what makes them the antagonist or the villain. And in this, I guess they sort of went with the latter to an extent, but I don't feel like it was an earned antagonist. I think it was literally just like, hey, everybody, look at our antagonist. There he is, and he's going to be here for the next 2 hours. I hope you like him. They don't do anything with him, really. Like, comparing that to something like Aaron Burr from Hamilton, a show that I regard very highly. They put him in all of these scenes with your main protagonist and downright almost even write him to be a better person at times. All maybe flawed, but a lot of the time they even go out of their way to make Hamilton look worse to Aaron Burr, where you're like, well, shit, is he even like really that bad of a guy? And then like by the end, he's like, well, he's the guy that killed Hamilton. But is that a problem? Like, you know, like Hamilton done kind of suck after a while. I don't know. But then he became kind of good. And then you feel conflicted as an audience member, whether or not you feel like there was really any villain all along.
Yeah. And then Aaron Burr becomes your favorite character.
And then Aaron Burr becomes your favorite character. Thank you. Exactly. Anyway, well, thank you for joining me for my additional TED Talk. But I feel like a show like this, it's very hard to talk about its merits off of itself and only itself. I feel like since we're now in 2024, but as a culture, as a society, we have the luxury of time and decades and years and years and years of new like practice and additional plot elements and new ways of telling stories that just we're just privy to all of these things. This is unfortunately a show that will always just be something that gets compared to modern times, and it is what it is. I feel like I can only give it praise for being something fun for the 50s, but if you compare it to like 2024, it's like good. It's like good.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Whatever gets you to sleep at night, I guess. I'm gonna sleep soundly knowing that this show is never gonna be something I enjoy. But I know what you're saying. When we kind of led the show with it as well. This Oklahoma is very much a product of its time. And that goes beyond like the style of music and the types of humor and the way characters act towards each other, inner like sex relations on less than a sexual basis, like even just regarding each other. And like we mentioned with the father basically pimping out Ado Annie, and the way that they kind of talk to each other in general, man to woman, outside of potential romanticism, is just it's very that time. And I don't care about that. Like I get that. I can look past that and just accept that was the way it was back then, and that was accepted. I don't care. Like the problems I have with it are purely on the level of like the nonsense or the lack of evolution of the plot and the general trend that the whole show takes. So that sort of thing, while it is important to talk about in a historical context when you compare this show to the way things are now, for me to just talk about it as a whole, I'm just going to disregard all of it because it's not worth getting into the weeds over.
All right. Well, all that being said, how about I briefly, and you can feel free to jump in. I will briefly talk about the main musical numbers that I hold in high regard, that even if this does have a steep buy-in, I think are absolute classics that do still stand the test of time. And I was having a great time laughing and smiling during these select few numbers. Actually, let me pick up a set list so I don't actually get any of these songs wrong, because I can describe them, but I don't want to miscall them. Oklahoma soundtrack. Hold on, sorry, that's not how you spell that. S-O, that's Sooners soundtrack. All right, there we go. Oklahoma soundtrack. So I think one of my first songs that I can't help but sing along with every single time I listen to it it's got to be Oh What a Beautiful Morning. It's a great track. Come on, man. Oh, what a beautiful morning. It's something about it. It is so quintessentially classic. And have you actually, the two that I bet you might have heard before where the names say Oklahoma and Oh What a Beautiful Morning. Is that true?
Not even a little bit.
Correct call? Not even you've never heard either of those?
Nope.
Okay, Oklahoma unironically has like made it on radio in like at some point in time. And it depends on what radio stations you listen to as a child, but interesting. You've heard neither of them. Well, fair enough.
If I ever heard it, the memory didn't bubble back up.
the memory did not have any staying power whatsoever.
I had nothing to connect it to.
Well, you hate to hear that. You hate to see that. So, Oh What a Beautiful Morning is a great track. I love it. I love it to death. I actually think it's really fun to sing because it has like that spark of like a Frank Sinatra vibe. Because I stand on this pedestal. Frank Sinatra is one of the funnest dudes to karaoke. He's got such a distinct, like easily like replicable voice. Well, at least for me, I guess. Like I can do New York, New York. Like it's just like a dumb sound that is easy to replicate, but it sounds fancy enough to like do, and it makes everyone feel like they're a really good singer. And that's why I find it to be a fun track.
Mm-hmm.
I Can't Say No is sung by Ado Annie, and I don't think I paid that much attention to some of the lyrics the last time I listened to this show. I paid very close attention to the lyrics this time around. Dude, she is like, for the 50s, she's basically saying like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And I'm like, fucking girl, get it, dude. Like, just by all means, take, one of her lines is like, what am I gonna do when a feller's trying to kiss me? Spit in his eye? And she's like, I'm gonna fucking make out with him. And another one that she said was, I shit you not, kissing is my favorite food.
Yeah.
I don't know why I find that to be so fucking funny. But like that entire song, obviously, is it still like a product of she's doing this like taboo-esque song where, in a modern society, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for a woman to be like, yeah, I want to do whatever I want. Like it's my life and it's my relationship. But for the 50s?
For the 50s, it's wild.
That's a little risque.
And
good for
actually,
you.
I need to know, this was something I wanted to ask about. Do you know anything about the actual stage performance and or the even further back play that this movie is based off of?
What I know is that this was a 1-for-1 recreation of the stage play. I do not know if it was a 1-to-1 recreation of its choreography. But if I had to guess, there were a couple of things that I wrote down. So the next track I was going to get to, do you have a particular thing you want to get into before I go?
My point was that song that sung by Ado Annie, because the stage musical was 12 years prior, even further back. So yes. If Ado Annie was singing that song in 1943, that's even more wild.
Yeah, no, that definitely happened for sure.
Okay.
All of these songs were in the original musical track when it originally came out, for sure. That I can promise. The only thing that I can't be 100% certain of, because I have not seen, I don't know there's any way that I could ever see like a visual production of one of the original productions of like the 1950s Oklahoma. I know they do like renditions where they revive it and bring it to like Broadway from time to time. Hugh Jackman did that once upon a time in the recent past. But like, honestly, even when Hugh Jackman's in it, like, I love you, Huey. Oklahoma is like a really steep bio. Why'd you have to pick Oklahoma?
Oh my God. And then it's 40 minutes longer than the thing that we just watched. Like, what did they do?
No. So there's the movie that he did in 1999, which I checked that too. I peeked that too because I wasn't sure which one we were going to watch. The 1999 version of Oklahoma, for whatever reason, is 40 minutes longer than this. And I don't remember why. I know I've seen it.
Hours. 3 hours.
I don't know where the 40 extra minutes comes from. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't.
Maybe they actually put plot in. I doubt it.
They
but
put plot in.
What were they smoking? I don't know.
I don't know, man. But it's really funny to me that Hugh Jackman, known for being Wolverine in the X-Men movies, and also Australian, loves doing musical theater, and his favorite show or something. I think he said it's his favorite, but that could just be copium on my end. He's done Oklahoma in this 1999 rendition movie version, where I think they did like the original Broadway revival, and this motherfucker did another Broadway revival of Oklahoma in like 2012 or something.
Oh my God.
Let it go. This show is not that good. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. This show is good, but I really think if you're that fan of musical theater, you can find something else to sink your teeth into.
Do something else, man.
I find it really fascinating that this seems to be the one he always comes back to. And he's like this Australian dude, and he always does Oklahoma. That dichotomy always fucking tickles me for some reason.
I love that too. Like in 2012, he was definitely way beefier than he was in 1999. So
yeah, for sure.
Like
Guaranteed.
He's this big, maybe not ripped, but he's in a much more muscular state than Curly generally is portrayed as.
Let me actually, because I don't want the fans to get upset with me, because I know at least one person out there is going to correct me if I'm wrong about this Broadway revival. Oklahoma Broadway, Hugh Jack. Oh, hang on. I think it was 2019, in fact.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
What are we talking?
No, it was...
give me the right date before I get outraged. I'm going to be outraged anyway.
There is a 2019 revival, but I don't see Hugh Jackman in this. I don't see Hugh Jackman in this, but 2019 did happen. That was a thing. Broadway cast. 1998 was him. 2002. Well, I don't know about 2002. I don't see his name in this either. I have a pretty vivid memory that if he wasn't in like the main Broadway cast for like a recent revival, he must have done like select select what do you call it, like shows or something like that with whatever revival cast was bringing it along at the time. So my impression is that maybe it's this 2019 version, and he just did like a 2-month stint where he was like the main Curly guy for a little while because he loves this show so much or whatever fucking reason. But yeah, that's our boy for whatever reason.
My God.
Anyway, I completely lost the thread. Another track I do love, and it's mostly because of the choreography, and actually the lyrics are pretty good too. So there are 2 female-led ballads. I Can't Say No being one of them, where 808 Annie is basically just talking about like, I can get whatever I want. And honestly, yeah, you get it, girl. Many a New Day is another track by by Laurel, where she essentially where she essentially just sings about, you know, it doesn't really matter if I don't get this guy, because like I'm fucking worth it. I'll get the next guy. Get it, Queen. Love that for you. And in this song and in this track, the dancing choreography isn't like that crazy, but there's this one gag where this one ballet chick is constantly like she's doing her own thing for a little while, and each of them like look over at her and they're like, are you done? And then she's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm done. I don't know why I find that.
Is this the one when they're in Aunt Eller's house?
Yeah, it's over there in Aunt Eller's house.
This song means nothing to me because then she immediately goes to the field where everybody, I don't know, they're like apple picking or whatever, and fights the women that Curly's standing next to.
Yeah,
it means nothing, and it completely negates the entire purpose of the song. That she's like, oh, I can do whatever. I'm fine. I don't need consoling or anything. I can just move on into another dude. Hey, is she talking to that bitch Gertie? Fuck you. And then she goes and fights her immediately.
Yeah.
And during
that
the
did
song, she
happen.
looks out the window several times to make sure that, like, whatever Curly's doing out there, they never show us, but presumably Gertie's been standing with him the entire time, because that's how the song starts, is they're talking about how Curly's been spending time with Gertie. So she's never really over him. It doesn't make any sense. There's no purpose. You could have just got rid of the entire song and it would have been the same movie.
Listen, it's got a good message. And the ballet.
Yeah, but then she goes back on it. So it means nothing.
Think of the ballet, Christian. Think of the gang.
No,
think of the gang.
No, I don't even care about I'm not a dancing guy. I don't care about the choreography that much. I can appreciate that it takes talent, but I don't like when it's like an extra 6 minutes of this nothing but they're tap dancing or balleting. Like, I'm like, please let me move on with my life. Just anything else, please. And then they move on and it's that.
So the fourth track I'd like to sing is the namesake of the show, Oklahoma. I do think I just love the Oklahoma where the winds come screaming down the. I just love that so much. Anytime, this is actually a fun fact. I go on a lot of work trips for work and whatnot with some coworkers of mine, and we regularly have to like do cross country drives for what I do for my job and whatnot, and sometimes we cross through Oklahoma. We have radios in our vehicles so that when we're like caravanning and we can like communicate to each other in case anyone has any issues while we're on the road. Christian, do you have any idea what I do every time we cross the Oklahoma state line?
Oh, I feel like you've just let in with it. Oh, Oklahoma.
This is also a fun fact. I know this song more than any other song in the show because of one dumb fucking gag in one of my favorite movies of all time, Twister, where there's a couple in the movie, like they're a storm chaser couple, and for whatever reason, there's like a part where they're like doing their storm chasing thing, like chasing after a twister, and it just like cuts over to this dude going, Oklahoma, where the winds come screaming down. I'm like, dude, that's baller. That's fun. And then they sing together at the end. They're like, Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Yow! It's just stupid.
It's fucking dumb.
It makes me feel like I'm having fun. That's all there is to it. It's just funny to me. So I know that track. Those are the 4 tracks I know and that I think are actually good, worth listening to. The dream sequence, I think, is classic and worth a watch, but it's a bit lengthy.
A bit,
to say the least. It's like a 15 to 20 minute
15
sequence.
minutes. I looked. As soon as it crossed the threshold of like being longer than any of the other ones we'd gotten up to that point, I was like, all right, I gotta see where this started at, because this is getting absurd. This is getting absurd. It passes absurd. Like the 10-minute mark, and I'm like, what am I doing here?
What is happening?
Like it passes the 10-minute mark, and we're still in the parlor or whatever with all of the, I don't even know what to call them, like.
I think they're whores. I think they're writing them as whores.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. And Judd, like Judd's there, like it's Judd's harem, and they're just, and that's the 10-minute mark. And then like a minute later is outside, it's a twister, and they're just fighting to the death now.
I love that. I love that the background in this went from being like a serene like Van Gogh sky into just being literally tornadoes in the background that are destroying everything.
Tornado and lightning strikes. Like,
what a dumb bit, dude. And you know the best part too, the way she got into her dream sequence was from huffing some
fucking
magic
bath salts. Fucking Egyptian, quote unquote Egyptian bath salts. What are we doing, man?
What is happening? I know, Christian. This is why I'm trying to advocate that the campiness is what gives it charm, and you need to lean in on the campiness in order for this to like give you anything other than regret.
I can't. I could not.
I know it's tough. I feel you.
I just want. Are you mostly wrapped up with this part? I just wanted to lean with
I think I'm mostly wrapped up with like the music track appreciation. Continue with your thoughts, please.
I just wanted to mention, because you said you enjoyed Ado Annie's song, and I get the message. The message is fine. I have no problem with the woman wanting to do her own thing, and unabashedly so. I just, and this might be the opinion that gets me the most flack here.
Okay.
I did not like her singing voice at all.
I don't think that's a hard take. In fact, I would even say that.
Really? That makes me feel great.
I don't think that's not a wild take. I also think that as a performer, she looked, I don't know what it was about her. She sang and still looked a little like a mannequin.
Yes.
Like the whole time.
Her face and lips do not move much.
It's a little jarring, because this is actually, I gotta be honest, this is a pretty nice looking film. Like film wise for 1955.
I can agree.
Like it's like pretty pristine.
It might have been remastered in some way to this point.
I'm sure it has at some point in time or another, but the fact that there was enough good quality footage to give us this for a 1955 film was actually a little jarring. I don't think I've seen it in this good a quality ever, actually. I watched it this evening, and there was like a moment where the camera was panning to like a moving carriage, and it panned into like a pond rippling. I never saw the ripples in like actual 1080p before. That was new for me. I was a little taken aback. I'm like, damn, dude, this is the future. Anyway. Their past was my future. Anyway, she is a fun character. The track is good. I actually think I agree that she, of the main cast, has the weakest performance. Very interestingly enough, I think that it also isn't just her singing voice. I think it's also just the way she presents, like the numbers that she is in. She doesn't something about her like doesn't move. And it's kind of jarring to me, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. That makes me feel a lot better, because for a very specific reason, and I'll share it now because it doesn't really impact later. When I was going through Letterboxd reviews, as one does for this, almost completely, how should I say, like overwhelmingly so, the name that got brought up the most was her.
Really?
And it was half of it was bitch slay for like, you know, being so pro women and like do whatever you want, boss ass bitch thing, and like that's fine, I get it. But then the other part, like there were people actually saying they were really vibing with her the music, and that her singing was like the best part. And I was like, what are you guys listening to that I'm not hearing?
I would be remiss if I didn't say that Gordon McRae absolutely takes the cake for my favorite singing voice in this show. The guy who played Curly. He was beyond a shadow of a doubt my favorite vocalist in this show. I think the close second would probably be Shirley Jones, who played Lori. Yeah. And she was great too, but something about Gordon McRae is just so classic, and it's like ear-piercingly, like he has my two favorite tracks, which is probably gives me a little bit of a bias, but like there's something about just listening to those two tracks and listening to his voice that's just like nostalgic, and it's classic, it's perfect, something it clicks. So I would not put Gloria on that podium, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm so happy you agree with me, because I thought I was losing my mind.
I thought I was losing my mind. No, I don't think you're losing your mind. I think I can actually agree with that take.
I have a question for you then.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that. It's unrelated to Ado Annie.
For sure.
You mentioned your 4 favorite tracks, and I couldn't help but notice. I have to ask you a question. Why isn't the one where Curly tries to get Judd to kill himself your favorite?
Well, okay. Counter. I do think it's really funny when at some point during Gordon McRae singing to Judd, he goes like, "and Serene," and then Judd goes like, "and Serene." Like, dude, he's literally singing about you killing yourself, and you're joining. What are you doing?
And you're harmonizing.
You're harmonizing. You're
echoing
with him
and harmonizing your own death.
Yeah. Okay. That is beyond a shadow of a doubt the wildest turn that this show takes.
This was insane. I like they we have this scene, right, where Curly goes to Judd's shed that he lives in, I guess, and he is going there with the intent purpose of trying to convince him to not go or take Lori to the box social. And he gets in there and he starts complimenting in a very sort of condescending way the features of Judd's little abode there. And he comes across just a hook that has rope on it. And Curly takes the rope, he compliments the rope, and then he goes over the hook and he's like, "Oh, that's a nice hook. Like you could hang by that hook." And then and then so immediately my mind goes, is he telling him to kill himself? But then Curly pulls the rope and he literally hangs on it like he grabbed onto a tree branch or something. He's holding on for dear life, and I'm like, oh, okay. So he's just like,
it was a bait and switch.
It was a bait and switch. He's quote unquote praising Judd for having this very well mounted hook in his shed, whatever. And then they immediately, like, the next sentence out of Curly's mouth is like, yeah, you could just like if you just let your feet go, you dangle there and take a couple minutes, but you'd be dead. And I'm like, what is happening? What are we talking about? What is going on? And then that's the theme for the rest of the next like 6-7 minutes. But and Curly is just like, yeah, what if you just like died? That'd be crazy, right? Like, it'd be beautiful and everything, but like that's not a bad idea, huh, Judd? And Judd's like, it'd be beautiful. And then I'm like, what are you
doing?
What is going on? It was so batshit insane to me. And the best part of it is not only is this what we're singing about, but Curly strategically places himself behind Judd the entire, like, when he comes around the other side of the desk, and he positions himself behind Judd so that anytime he can make sort of condescending remarks to him in the song, he's giving him the side eye. And then if Judd catches on, he like looks off to the other way and he like pretends he's smiling, and then Judd turns back and they're staring into, I don't know, some one specific point in the garage. And then Curly looks back and he's giving the side eye. It happens like 5 or 6 times where Curly is just giving these underhanded digs at Judd, but Judd is so wrapped up in the idea that he would have had friends that came to this funeral, which wouldn't have happened. But
oh man, dude,
and it's just so it was just so insane. I could not believe what I was listening to. I was
it's like
enraptured by it.
On one hand, it's bad enough there would be a scene where also our protagonist, by the way, is basically just telling our quote unquote antagonist to kill themselves. Like that's like a plot point. That's already a little wild. There's a 4-minute sung number about it. Golly, and like I said, fucking Hugh Jackman loves the show. He sang that song at some point. He had to.
Yeah, many times, in fact, if he was in the musical.
I'm sure. Yep, I'm sure many times, in fact. You got me. Listen, you got me. I know the outrageousness. It is not my favorite track. It is not one that I stand behind by any means. It's a really tough buy-in. I had to fight every fiber of my being to skip it, because I have skipped it in the past because it's not my favorite. I don't care for it. But I wasn't gonna get one over on you, was I?
No, I was. There was no way I was getting through this recording and not bringing up the "Kill Yourself" song.
The "Kill Yourself" song.
I couldn't believe it. I was.
Hey, at least it wasn't the tap dancing number. How fun would that be? and then it ends with his feet dangling in the air.
Now, hold on. If they had doubled down on that and Judd had gone through with something like that, that would have been just crazy enough to maybe buy me back in.
That would have been just crazy enough to get you back.
Yeah, like a song about him committing suicide, but not actually doing it because he still wants to go out with Lori or whatever. Is like, it's jarring, but like we return to the status quo. If for some reason Judd had been out of his mind and actually gone through with it, then we would have had something on our hands here.
You're telling me this would have been better if Judd died?
It would have been more interesting, yeah.
It's Sanji all over again, man.
It's
we can't
Sanji
escape
all over
it.
again. Also, because the movie probably would have been about an hour and 20 minutes shorter.
Yeah, you would have been
there
like,
just would have been no conflict anymore.
The conflict would have been gone. Oh god, this is like even like pre-soap opera conflict. Like, this isn't even just conflict for the sake of like Mamma Mia is like soap opera conflict for the sake of conflict, like miscommunication, like everyone's like saying the wrong things at the wrong times. This is literally it's all like manufactured conflict.
Yes, it's about as surface level as it gets. It is purely a vehicle to get you from one musical number to the next. There is no other purpose.
Yeah, you kind of got me there.
Okay, I want to. I'll juxtapose this with one of my other. I mean, by definition, favorite parts, but not like that. Not that I enjoyed it that
man,
much.
We had two favorite parts. Son of a bitch, we got two out of them.
You got two out of me at the end with the box social, and they're betting on Ado Annie's basket. So this is clearly going between Will and Ollie, but Ollie is being forced into betting by Ado Annie's dad. So
well, hold on. Can I make this a little bit clearer for the audience? Because I do love this bit. At one point, Will shows up. He gets his money back because Allie just like offers to buy the presents he originally got Ado Annie at like a premium so that he could give him his money back, because he wanted him to have money, because like the dad at some point said if you had $50, like that would mean that you weren't too poor to marry my daughter or some shit like that. So he's like, well, I don't have $50, so I guess I can't marry her. And then everything's fixed when he gets his $50. So he's like, I have $50 back. I bet $50 on her food basket. And then the dad chimes in and he goes like, oh, you're betting the 50 you got? Oh, well, I guess you're back to nothing.
So you don't have $50 then, huh? You're giving $50 to the school, not me. So,
I'm like, okay.
This is when, this is the moment where Ollie becomes a bro. I mean, he's kind of already been doing this where it's not bro for the sake of bro. It's because he just doesn't want to marry Ado Annie, but still, like he did the whole buyback thing with all the presents, and then now he's just before Will is being forced into this $50, losing $50, and he goes 51, and then the dad looks at him funny, and Will's like, oh, well, I guess I still have my $50 then, so you get the basket and I get Annie. And so my favorite line is immediately following this, the dad asks Allie, well, what do you get? Or what are you getting for your $51? And Allie calls back to this dumb joke that some random schmuck made 5 minutes ago about Ado Annie's like pumpkin whatever or something. It was her
pie or whatever.
Yeah, it was a pie or meringue or something. And what are you getting for your $51? And Ollie scrunches his nose and squints at the basket, and then everybody goes a 3-day bellyache, and everyone fucking dies. Everybody loved that. The whole crowd dead. Aunt Eller, who is the only other person in frame besides the dad, crying. That part was funny, like making that dumb callback to the joke that somebody else made. Ollie's a comedian to his core.
Yeah, that was good. I like that bit. That's a good bit. Ollie's a good character.
Ollie was at least
he's actually
decent.
not that good a person.
No, he's a terrible person, but he was at least decent comedic relief for this movie, I guess. So
yes, I would agree.
Okay. I'm going to. So one other thing that I thought was just what we can get to the ending too, because I think the ending is the most egregious part of this entire movie.
Right. Yeah, we haven't gotten to that part.
We haven't even really gotten to the meat and potatoes of why this show is like actually bad. But or like especially bad. But it kind of starts with, so you remember that kaleidoscope with the Playboy girl inside of it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was also a fucking knife. What? It was also a knife, and not only was it a knife, but this is foreshadowed earlier in the movie by Judd. Judd asks Allie at some point if he has this specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, that's a weird thing to ask for. Not even like connecting it to, because earlier we see Will with it. I didn't even make the connection at that point. But then when we're doing that whole buyback scene between Allie and Will, Judd just rolls up and sees Will with the kaleidoscope thing. And he's like, you see it click in his head. He's like, oh, that's the thing I've been looking for. and it's also a knife. And I'm like, what? Why is this also a knife?
Listen,
What?
I'm sure that it is a unique trinket from back in the days of old, like that wasn't very uncommon.
But it's like specifically an assassin's tool. Like the way he describes using it is specifically to take a dude out.
Yeah, it's like literally an assassin's
And then
tool.
he tries to do it. And then he tries to do it later. And somebody recognizes that later. I don't remember who, but Aunt Eller pulls Curly away. Like Judd tries to get Curly to, in front of everyone, by the way. He would have just been flat out murdering Curly in front of everybody.
Hey, they did it in the corner on the deck. Come on.
What are you talking about? They were in plain view of Aunt Eller and Kurt and Lori and whoever else was there. They found him immediately because they're looking. They recognized that is the thing. I don't remember. I think it was Allie himself or Will. I don't know how they knew it was a knife anymore. I don't remember. But one of them knows, and it would have just been incomplete. He was 2 seconds away from doing it if Aunt Eller didn't come over and demand a dance. Which, by the way, one of the only other redeeming qualities of Curly is that he totally took Aunt Eller to the dance. By the way, that was extremely like good for you, man. Good. Way to pull through on that one.
Way to be a gentleman.
Way to be a gentleman. Yeah, he would have just been flat out murdering Curly in front of the entire town, basically, and that just would have been it. Like, so the fact that little trinket thing would just ended up being an actual knife, and also the thing Judd was looking for the entire time, I was like, sure. And this was only the beginning of the end for this show, so. I don't know. You want to like start describing the end of this actual nightmare for me, please?
So the end of the show, what do we get for our 2 hours and 15-minute long investment in these characters? But of course, a murder attempt where our 2 protagonists they climb to the top of a hay bale, and then Judd comes out of nowhere and attempts to light the whole thing on fire and burn them at the stake, pagan style. And then Curly gets Lori down, and then he jumps Judd. Judd at this point, when they're in like a skirmish, they like break it up. They do a court, quote unquote, court session.
No, hold on. You're skipping past a lot of stuff here.
Am I?
I just want to talk about how like absurd it is in the first place. Go
ahead.
So Judd clearly jealous. Curly proposes to Lori at the end of the box social, whatever. So then we time skip to whatever amount of time, and it's their wedding. We go through the wedding, and they're getting the newlywed couple is getting hazed or whatever by the other dudes in town. Whatever this insane ritual is where they throw straw children at them on top of a hay bale. And so Judd takes this opportunity to, and I hate that I remembered this too. This is also like a foreshadowed thing earlier in the movie.
It was?
Yeah. So at the end of the song where Curly is trying to get Judd to kill himself, they have a little sit down where Judd wants to know where or why Curly is there in the first place, or maybe it was before. Either way,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the end of the song though. They have a little sit down, and Judd tells Curly about an earlier time, like 5 years ago in the canon of the show, where some other farmhand he goes like, oh, you remember the Jenkins incident? And they're like, oh yeah, that's crazy. The family died in a fire in the barn or whatever. And Judd's like, yeah, that happened, but it ain't no accident. And Curly's like, excuse me. And Judd goes, yeah, it turned out the farmhand really fancied the daughter of the farmer, And when he caught her sleeping with another dude, he burned them all and was seen like getting kerosene or whatever. And I'm like, so the reason I remember this actually isn't even because I remembered it after watching the movie. I went back to the Suicide song and like listened to it again because I wanted to take in every detail of how Curly wanted Judd to just end his life. Anyway, so I heard that line again and I was like, oh my God, they like the one bit of foreshadowing they do in this movie is the shitty ending. And okay, so anyway, that whole thing, like the whole foreshadowing aside, then we get there and Curly throws Lori off of the hay bale on one side and then jumps on top of Judd, who is holding a big fuck off knife.
Yeah.
And somehow Judd is the one who gets stabbed because there is no fight. Curly jumps on top of Judd and that's it. Like instead of all Judd had to do was hold the knife out to Curly who's jumping on top of him. But instead somehow Judd gets stabbed.
Judd got stabbed?
What?
Question mark?
What? It's not a question. He got stabbed. I'm just like,
I get it. No, I understand. That's what I'm saying is the question. But just like get over it. Get
over it. The show didn't know how to end its stupid conflict, so it just wrote Judd out of the show by like making him the most innate villain ever.
It's actually interesting that you like brought all this like foreshadow to the table. You're making his villain arc sound so much more believable now because he was probably the villain that burned the original family.
No, he was working at their farm all that time.
Well, during
Judd,
when
Judd
he was
working
about 5
at
years ago?
Yeah, like he wouldn't have. He was working on Lori's or Ann Eller's farm. I don't know who actually owns it or not, but he was working there the entire time.
Because Ann Eller at one point said that like he's the best farmhand we've ever had, so he's not the only farmhand they've had. So maybe he was the farmhand of that other family for a little while, and he was the fucking arson.
Well, I mean, they also talk about. Well, I mean, maybe it's just him hearsay because he's the only one talking about it. But he also mentions how like other people saw this other random farmhand guy around town and that he like buying kerosene, but nobody could like prove that it was him who set the thing on fire. I don't know. Maybe you're right. It could be right. I don't know.
All I'm saying is, how does he know that it wasn't no accident? How come everyone else thinks it's an accident?
All the farmhands, they have a big group text. That's why.
Yeah, they all have a big group text in 1930.
1955, 1943. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was completely buck wild and nonsense that they were just like, how do we get Judd out of the story finally? Like, I don't know, just kill himself. I thought essentially.
The part that was gonna, that too. I thought the part that was gonna set you off is this like fuck off random ass quote unquote court session.
I mean, that's definitely a problem also. Like, let's not, I didn't even get there yet, really. I don't think it angers me as much as the Judd thing because they just didn't know how to end their movie or get rid of settle this beef between the protagonist and antagonist. So they just haphazardly kill him. The pseudo court case that happens is just icing on the stupid cake that this is.
Yeah. They basically do like this whole trial where they're like, hey, is he like Curly's clearly innocent, and then a dude walks in and goes like, not so fast, I defend my client, and then like the Edo Annie's dad is like the judge or whatever, he's just like fucking hitting a table with a wooden spoon, and he goes like, well, we're gonna have a real fucking court session, okay? So exactly what happened? He's like, yeah, he tried to fucking kill me. He's like, a likely story. Was there a witness? And then everyone's like, yeah, I saw it. And he's like, well, I think that's all we need to hear. So it was self-defense. Oh, anyone against it? And everyone's like, nope, thank you, done.
Yeah, except that one guy. The one guy's like, this doesn't hold up. This is a court, and everyone's like, we don't care.
Fuck you, buddy. Go back to Kansas. All right, this is Oklahoma.
This is how we do things around here in our not a state.
In our territory, not a state. Fucking that was
insane.
What a bit.
Completely insane.
Listen, we've had fucking trials with about as much like fucking validity on our own cast, all right? So I don't want to hear any fucking naysayers.
we're not paid big bucks for that. We're just fucking idiots on the internet. talking about
that's fair.
nothing. This movie had writers budget to pay them, allegedly.
Hey, don't fault the writers of this movie. Remember, it started with a musical.
They could have edited it somehow.
They could have. No, there's always room to take the musical and adapt it for a screen. I believe this is a 1-for-1. This is one of the very few like 1-for-1. All they did was take the musical and fucking make it a movie. So, gee, what a show.
What a show is right.
All right, I think we did it. I feel good about what we've accomplished here tonight, Christian. And honestly, I feel better than I could have ever hoped, knowing the subject matter before starting the recording tonight, because I knew this one was going to be a rough one for you, buddy. And I feel like I said that last time. And I was probably right then, but I knew that you were not going to be completely prepared for this.
Oh man, underprepared is an understatement. This makes Legally Blonde look like an Academy Award winning film.
Oh shit, dude. That's fucking gold. All right. All that being said, Christian, is it my time? I think it's my time.
It is. It's your time.
I have numbers, and unlike before when we were doing the Broadway numbers, I don't feel compelled to get Broadway numbers this evening. We watched the movie. We didn't watch the Broadway number. So I have with me the tried and true, the budget and box office numbers for this, a 1955 made for movie rendition of the famed musical Oklahoma! Christian.
Yeah.
Christian.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the budget of this masterpiece was?
Now, I feel like I have a question that is more pertinent than it has ever been. Do you have a number that is adjusted for inflation or not?
I do not. This is the dollars that was spent for 1955. Would you feel better guessing with inflation what they spent on this movie?
It would just temper my number. I don't know that I'd have a necessarily better guess one way or the other.
Well, tell me what you want. I'll happily do either or.
I'll do it this way. I'll leave it like this. I just needed to know that I wasn't gonna, like, if it was adjusted for inflation, like obviously my number is gonna be much higher. So
this is pre-inflation doll hairs.
Pre-inflation doll hairs. Man
is right.
Man is right. I have no notion, no context for what movies would have costed to make it in general at this time.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm just gonna shoot like super low, especially if it's for inflation, and just guess like $200,000.
200,000? That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Is that your final answer, big guy?
That's my final answer.
Christian, you silly man, you poor naive fool. Of course, one of the most important musical achievements of all time got a budget of a mere $6.8 million.
What? $6.8 million in 1955 bucks?
That is correct. You want to know what that is in today's money? I can tell you. Hang on, let me fix this number so I can do it correctly.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. This is one of the most important movies.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
What do you mean it doesn't mean anything to you?
This is crazy. But my closest like reference to this is we just watched Snatch and Lock, Stock and Barrel. Both of those movies were made for less money about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is
where did the money go to? Who were they paying? What?
Probably the fucking camera, dude. The camera's immaculate.
Fuck off. The camera back then wasn't that good. They've remastered it since then. There's no way that's original footage.
The ability to remaster it. That's what makes it incredible. Because not every film from that era could do that. All right, anyway. Well, do you want to know what that is in today's dollars?
Please.
It is $78 million.
Jesus Christ, it's a Marvel movie budget. This stupid show had a fucking Marvel budget.
Oh man, buddy. All right, God, I'm so glad. The fact that you batted so low makes me so irrationally happy.
This is insane. The more I talk about this fucking movie, the worse it gets. I'm going to psychosis or something. You're gonna catch me in a straitjacket next recording.
Okay. Now, Christian.
Oh, I'm gonna lose it.
What did this movie make at the box office?
Oh, this movie definitely made money.
You think it made money, or do you think it lost money?
No,
it could go either way. Money. You think it made money? Okay. Just how much money did it make, Christian?
Oh God.
Come on, buddy. You can do it. I believe in you.
I don't know.
You can do
I'm just gonna take a stab in the dark and say, like, maybe it didn't make that much money.
Okay.
So I'll say $15 million.
$15 million. Wow. He's saying essentially that it made double its budget. Christian, I am delighted to report it made far less than that. It made God. A mere 7.1 million.
Oh, so it barely broke even. Okay.
It barely
broke
God,
even. Okay.
You're sweating bullets.
I am.
There's no way that this movie you can't conceive of a universe where this movie made that kind of scratch. Yeah, it made today's equivalent of $81 million out of its what did I say before? Like
60 or 70 something. 70 something.
Yeah, whatever. So there you go. It barely broke even. So, but it broke even, and that's we like that. We love that for them. For them, we love that.
Well, I don't want to reinforce bad behavior.
I don't want to read. Nah, man, come on, dude. All right. Well, I am glad that you could be. What a roller coaster for you, huh?
Yeah.
200,000, dude. I would never bet on a film being less than $1 million. I don't think in any generation, in any era. Although I guess Snatch being less than $1 million, clearly.
I think it was. Snatch was over a couple of million, but I think Lock, Stock, if I remember correctly, was like just under $1 million or just at $1 million, something like that.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm done. That's it. The floor I am now giving to you. I actually have it in my hands. Please.
I'm out of breath.
I got to come down from that.
Yeah. Okay. So I have Letterboxd reviews, as previously mentioned.
Yes.
This one took me on a journey, and honestly,
good or bad journey?
Kind of both. I opened up Letterboxd expecting a lot of Legally Blonde style reviews where people just blindly love this, and because of its historic value to the musical genre as a whole, and also just being blinded by nostalgia. Happily, I was not met with that. Everyone
shat on it.
I was met with a lot more balanced people than that, at least in terms of their star ratings. Anyway, a lot of the reviews themselves are speaking very highly of the movie and then being like, but also you kind of gotta ignore all like the really, 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 really bad stuff that they also do. So, yeah. which is great. I found next to no 5-star reviews. Actually, it was all 4-star-ish reviews at the highest end for
You're telling
people
me
who
that,
like
but
it.
You found a 5-star review that you brought this evening. I can I can sense it in my bones. You can't hit me with that. I see through you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you find. I would expect you to finally see through me after getting duped so many times.
Yeah. After being the butt of the joke for so many weeks.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll open up with. I've got 5 reviews for you. 2 of them are actually quite fun, and I'll explain why when we get to them.
I swear to God, if he found the Hamilton line again.
Could you imagine? Dude, I unironically was going to come in here and the last review I was going to say, like, fuck Hamilton and Legally Blonde the musical. Oklahoma is the...
What if? Dude, what if?
I should have made like a pseudo account and wrote that in myself.
On there. Yeah, and put that. So stupid. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, first review. This is the most liked review at 398 likes on Letterboxd. Oklahoma is a lot hornier than I expected.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm gonna say that's a 4. That's a 4 out of 5.
Wrong. That is a 3-star review, baby. Middle of the pack.
Fair enough. Middle of the road. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fair play.
In the same vein, someone just wrote Oklahorny with the exclamation point, by the way.
I'm going to say this is less. This is the way my thought process works. We just got done with a review that essentially said the exact same thing, but with more effort in words. And this person thinks they're very intelligent and a meme lord and probably doesn't spend any time thinking about their gags. So in posting this, they gave it, I want to say 2.5, but I think I got to go with my gut. 2-star review.
I love when you especially say your thought process out loud, because when I tell you how awfully wrong you are, it just makes it that much sweeter. This was a 4-star review.
Come on, no! Not like this.
Yeah, like this.
Oh, man. Well,
All right. Okay. Next review. Look, it's simple and dated and kind of disgusting, though not nearly as much as some of R&H's other works. But you got to admit, those songs slap, and it's just an absolutely gorgeous film. I understand why it's bad, but when watching, I will simply ignore that because I love it.
Wow. Okay. That has to be the 5. It has to be.
Does it have to be, though?
You're getting me to hesitate. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's the 5. I'm calling it. It's the 5.
Wrong again. That was another 4-star review.
Come on. No. Fuck. What if I got fucking reverse psychology again? What if he doesn't have any 5s? What if he gave you with no 5s?
So the next review is a bit longer.
Okay.
Not the very last review I have is actually the longest review. So we're going to be on a bit of a journey here, but it's not.
Oh fuck!
It's not long, but it's longer than I typically come here with.
Sure,
but I thought it was pertinent, and you'll realize pretty much immediately why.
Okay.
I'm rewatching this because I'm recording a podcast tomorrow. Well, today. My brain has been so fried trying to write down the entire history of the book musical and analyzing what makes Oklahoma work and the different ways it can be interpreted and just fucking everything. In this moment, I understand every facet of Oklahoma. Fear me. Oh,
wow.
And then she sings and then she writes down the Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains and the waving wheat, blah, blah, blah. I'll leave that for people who are better at singing than me.
You don't even have to be good at saying. Just say, Oklahoma, where the
it'll get you every time.
Dude, it's slap. When you do it a few times, eventually you'll grow to be like, all right, that's kind of fun. It's kind of fire. Anyway, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I sense praise, but I also sense this person is maybe not annoyed, but like they're a little exhausted in the amount of work that they had to put into this. This is like Geordie energy, right? Like when they accomplish something, like that they're glad that they became an expert, but you're also not convinced that they're happy they put forward all of the effort. I'm gonna say begrudgingly, this is a 4.5 star out of 5.
Oh, you were so close.
No.
But Brendan, I gave you another 4-star review.
Oh, okay. At least it's not the 5. All right. Okay, I would have been devastated. I would have lost my mind. Okay, that's fine. My right mind was there. I'm finding the line.
You're dialing it in. I have a fun fact about the last 2 reviews that I read.
Mm-hmm.
Made by the same person, a year apart.
A year apart, in fact.
Yeah. So the first one, look, it's simple, dated, blah, blah, blah. I simply ignore everything because I love it. Was user Eliza on December 2020. And then the second review was user Eliza in September 2021.
Wow.
So I wonder if they had the podcast already at the time, or somewhere in the interim they decided to start a podcast.
Dude, we got a fish in the ether for Eliza's podcast tab.
I bet it wouldn't be that hard. I could probably go to their profile.
We just look up like Oklahoma podcast reviews, and then like we just got to find
and just comb through all of them.
Yeah, eventually we'll find one within Eliza. Surely, Eliza. Sorry, I can't help myself. That's lovely.
This person actually has like one or two other reviews as well that I just chose not to. For Oklahoma, yeah. I just chose not to read them again.
Older or newer?
There was the podcast one. There's one right before that, like a week before it, and this is probably like this person's probably making reviews like before every watch.
Got it. Understood.
Actually, okay, wait. That might be a lie. I've got to find that. I got to find the date again because I found two of them. Okay, no, never mind. I lied. 3 reviews, the September 2021 one. All 3 reviews, same date, and then there's the December one.
Got it. Understood.
They just couldn't stop leaving reviews for Oklahoma.
They had to keep coming back for more. They had to keep coming back.
Absolutely insane. I guess this is like a review for every rewatch they did for the podcast.
I mean, honestly,
I'm like trying to get to this person. Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind.
Could you imagine sitting through this like more than once to do an episode of podcast review on it? Dude, you would. If we were a podcast where we did like harder research and you've had to watch like everything we watch like 2 or 3 times, this would be the one that I think might send you off the deep end.
Yeah, probably. I think you're right.
All right.
Last review.
Thank you for that lovely review.
I have one last one.
Incredible.
By your process of elimination, it's the 5-star review as well.
Yeah, but I'm scared, Christian. I'm
the
very
only
scared.
part of Oklahoma that struck me as particularly redeemable is Charlotte Greenwood as Aunt Eller. I agree.
You son of a bitch. You brought no 5s here, didn't you?
As she was always an interesting character when she's present. There's a few other characters that I think are at least somewhat interesting, but they're really secondary characters. With Ali Hakim probably whose name really is probably Ali Hakim if he's really Persian, but they just don't know how to do that. Probably that's a me aside. That wasn't in the review. Mm-hmm. With Ali Hakim probably only being the one that I think is at least fairly interesting, even if there's a fair amount of problems with that character as well. But at least he's not a bland character. There's a couple songs that are sort of catchy, but even with that, they don't seem to sustain beyond the initial hook. So it's not as though they're making for very compelling music numbers. I think this is probably more exciting than it was. I think this is probably more exciting than it was to drive through actual Oklahoma, but there's no way this earns an exclamation point.
Holy shit.
I just
fucking roasted the state at the end. What the hell?
I love this review for them thinking Aunt Eller's the only redeemable character. And then there's no way this earns an exclamation point as a dig against the movie. I thought that was so funny. I thought that was so funny.
You really hit me with 0 5 stars in here. There's no way that's a 5-star. I refuse. If that's a 5-star, I'm literally you can close it out by yourself. I will not be here. I will leave in outrage. So it is not a 5-star. God, what did they give it? I'm gonna say they really shat on it. 2.5. Final answer.
So close yet again. Oh, no! That burns. That burns. That was a 2-star review.
Fuck. I was in the right area, man. It's when you're plus or minus that 0.5, man. It fucking, that's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I had the right idea.
I had to scroll to like the 3rd or 4th page of Letterboxd in order to find the first 5-star review. And there's like 10 reviews per page, 10 or 12 reviews per page. So I had to get to like the 30th review before I found a 5-star, and it still just like wasn't worth reading.
Oh, well, that's a damn crying shame. I feel gaslit, but that's okay.
Well, you did it to yourself. I didn't do nothing.
You're right. I did do it to myself.
Dug your own grave there, buddy.
I created the expectation that never existed. That's fair. But you didn't encourage me to stop. All right, so I'm blaming you for
why
that.
would I ever do that? I'm gonna let you live in that lie
that's
forever.
Also fair.
It's way funnier that way.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate you. Dude, imagine if it was I'm serious. I would have put my microphone down. You would have fucking closed out. I would have come back in 10 minutes and been like, "So you finished, right?" And then I would have pressed stop. I'm not even kidding.
Incredible.
That is what would have happened. I would have taken a shower, been back, and been like, so are we done yet or what?
Dylan would have hated that. I mean, I guess it would have also just been like, oh, cool. There's 10 minutes of silence here. Snip, snip, done.
I mean, honestly.
Oh, outstanding. What a show. What an episode. This is great. You know, I was excited to come into this because I knew it would be fun to just hate it. just hate
you were like,
for
you were
an
so
hour and a half.
excited to hate on it. Yeah,
oh,
for
God.
sure.
When I reached the end of the show and the full force of how bad it was for me really sat on me. I was like
washed over you.
I was waterboarded by how bad this show ended up being for me. And then I realized that this was perfect because it was going to make for excellent content. My misery was going to make for a good episode. And I was able to reconcile with myself after that point.
You were able to, you saw yourself in the mirror and you're like, this is good for the content.
I did this for you, the people. And but specifically for our patron Rin, who gave us this experience of a musical. I already this is March musicals, goddammit. March movie recommendation time. So for the second month in a row, she has given us a musical, and I'm starting to sense a theme here, Brendan, and I don't like it.
I honestly, okay, to be perfectly honest with you, I heavily encouraged the musical options at the start, but they have doubled down so vehemently. It's the ball's in their court as far as I'm concerned. All right, like I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna hold your hand along the way. We'll get through this together, Christian. We'll get through this. I am not encouraging them any further to throw more musicals in your face, but if they do,
but they will.
I'm just a guy, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're just a guy who's gonna be here every step of the way, and I wouldn't have it any other way, I guess.
There are more that we can watch that I think are good. In fact, there's one on Netflix that starred Andrew Garfield that I think is very good. And if we watch that, maybe you would enjoy it.
Who knows? But we have to get there first.
We have to get there first.
Yeah. So that was the show. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. If you enjoyed my pain and Brendan's enjoyment, his delight at watching another musical, please let us know. You can find us on our Instagram and our Twitter at Panda Sightings. If you'd like to directly send us an email, you can send it to us at pandasightings@gmail.com. If you would like to join in with the raucous voices of our other listeners and talk to Rin directly about Oklahoma if you happen to like it, you can join our Discord. It's in the link tree below. And if you would like to follow in Rin's footsteps, you don't necessarily have to pay as much money to give us a movie, but just a little couple bucks here and there is more than welcome. You can join our Patreon. That's also Panda Sightings. And if you are familiar with our other podcast, hopefully, One Piece with a Lime, you can visit our Redbubble store where we have a couple of stickers and other knickknacks for your buying pleasure, potentially. If you want to support us in a different way and actually get something out of it, then you can do so like that.
And just to reiterate, huge thank you to Rin this month for giving us this recommendation, and our other two producer tiers this month, which will also be getting their own designated movies if they haven't come out already. Twiggo, we love you as well, and Taco, who tripled down. I think he's on 3 in a row right now. He's also a goon. Thank you to all of our producer tiers. We have all of your movies in short order. I just what a ride.
What a
good time. I know I've been saying it with a couple of these musicals, but like we just keep going from one extreme. Like we're going down the ladder of every extreme with musicals energy, and I'm happy. I'm like there's so many emotions.
What happens now?
Honestly, Christian, you have the spectrum. You have Hamilton, which is arguably like the easiest buy-in and well liked to like naysayers, like in general, We have like Legally Blonde, which is like a pretty good standard musical for like today's day and age, and now you have Oklahoma, which is a steep buy-in. Like you have the spectrum. I don't know where else we go from here. Like now we're just gonna be watching things, and we'll just have to get your honest opinion on if you like it or not. Which I mean, we've been getting anyway. But in my mind, this is just I don't know. It's funny to me, I guess.
Yeah, I am both.
There are no
scared
more
and interested.
Outliers. There are no more outliers at either end of the spectrum.
So you
I don't
say
think.
that, but I'm sure they will conjure up something, probably on the worst end. I don't know that anything's going to top Hamilton. I don't think that's a far reach for anyone to guess, but for me, that is. I think only it goes downhill here for me. Like it might not necessarily be worse than Hamilton. Than Oklahoma, but it'll probably get kind of close if I know myself.
Dude, come on.
Well, we'll just have to see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for now,
fair enough.
I'm signing out.
All right, good night,
I need a
everybody.
nap.
Yep, same. Thank you for listening.
Bye.